Hi, flower friends. Welcome to Trellis's first Lunch and Learn. We're going to do these every Tuesday for you. This is a recording of what we did on Tuesday because we had some technical difficulties, but I'll be sure to include the questions that our guests had on Tuesday. So there's a lot of great reasons to use recipes in Trellis. The first and foremost is that it is where the profitability comes from. When you control your costs, you're controlling your profitability. It also is a very efficient way to communicate with your wholesaler. It makes sure that they know exactly what you're looking for. You can order by the number of stems, by the number of packs. It's very clean and efficient. Before we head to the recipe particularly, I want to take a peek at the library and show you a library card because this is where your pricing comes from. Everybody has their own way of doing pricing, but this is how I do it. So here I've got it's a foliage, it's acacia knife blade. My cost here is $11.99 a bunch, and that is the bucket cost at my wholesaler. If I'm able to get that at a box rate, I just think that's a good discount for me, and congratulations. But I can go and change that. So if I buy a case, maybe I get that for $10 or $9 a box, and we can change that in our recipes and it will fall out in our profitability. I leave this retail button closed or this function open. It's going to calculate that retail cost for me automatically based on my markup. So I'm not going to be concerned about that now. So all that being said, let's pick an event and we'll head into making recipes. Over here on the right hand, this little arrow will take you straight in. And here we have a nice proposal set up for this. This bride loves anthurium, amaranthus, hydrangea, and she wants a touch of drama with a dark orchid. So my picture doesn't really agree with that, but I'll work on getting a better picture in there for us. Let's take a look at these buttons across the top. So the asterisk just means it's showing me everything in the library. It's showing me hard goods, flowers, foliage, everything. The pinned information are things that we're going to use in these recipes. So if I look at what's been pinned, I have these items here. There's other places that these pinned items show up, and when Courtney works in mood boards next week, she's going to show you how you can use the pinned items to show up in your mood boards. It's really very clever. The most frequently used here, that's what the little clock means, is what we've used recently. And so this, I've already actually made some recipes in here before. So this is what shows up in there. And then our recipe box. I really love the recipe box, and if you're not using it, you're kind of missing out. There's a couple of ways to work in the recipe box, and down the road we'll do a class specifically on that. But for now, you can take a look and see we've got some items in here. You can create your own sorting function by working with folders. So when I see a trend coming on, like this new one, sure you're getting the same pictures I am, where it's anthurium, it's calla lilies, it's hanging amaranthus. So I'm going to set up a file folder for that, and then I'm going to use that information to create an automatic recipe, and then I'm going to tweak it once I get in there. So if I grab this, before I do, there's this box up here. It says apply full. If I take this off, then it's going to bring in just the recipe, and it's not going to write over my item name or my description. So let's grab that and drop it in here. And we get amaranthus red, we get anthurium green, we get James Story orchids, and we get lisianthus. So let's see, I say that I don't care for the lisianthus in here, or I just want to change the color. By using this box here, I get this great feature that says replace item. So I'm going to replace this item, and I can use any other flower in there. So let's say I want to use a ranunculus. So I'm going to come down here and search my ranunculus. She likes a little hit of dark, so I'm going to pull that burgundy in there, and I'm going to replace that in this recipe. So now if I'm happy with my burgundy ranunculus, all of these pieces and parts, I can add here if you want to add in a rose. Again, I can't do that from my recipe box. I go back over here to where I have everything, and I can search for a rose. Let's say I think a Moab would be pretty with this. So I'm going to pull that in. And ta-da. I've budgeted $300 for this, and I did not put in things like ribbon and pins, but I feel like that's a good number. I like what's in here, so I'm going to move on. When I get to my bridesmaids, it says that I'm doing a modest version of her bouquet. So I'm going to copy this recipe. So I'm going to hit the copy button here, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to hit the paste button here. And of course, I want my bride to be more fabulous, and this is way over my budget. So I'm going to make my adjustments here. I'm going to have just 2 stems of amaranthus. I'm going to have 3 anthurium and 3 James Story, 3 ranunculus, and 3 Moabs. How'd I do on my budget? 133. I'm still over. That's going to cost her an anthurium. But now I'm great on my budget. It even tells me what kind of ribbon. For those of you who are super organized, if you've got your ribbon in there, knock yourselves out. So this gives me a nice clean look. Let's look at these a little bit individually. If I click on this amaranthus red, which has been really hard to get lately, I've got 2 in here. The cost is $130. Maybe I want to override that because right now anthurium is super expensive. Maybe that costs more right now. And it says all recipes for this item will be updated with the new cost. So this is going to change the cost, not just here, but in the bridal bouquet as well, and going forward. So now my amaranthus red is $250. The extended cost is $5. But maybe I got a good deal on the anthurium. So if I come back in here with the anthurium, maybe I had to buy a case of those, and my case cost is $7. So I can update that here. I'm going to save it, and it's going to fix it here. It's also going to fix it up here on the top so that my pricing will be the same. But this is just in this recipe. You are not changing your library costs. This is just for this particular event. So we can follow down here, but let me show you something that's really special in here with the recipes. We're going to head down to an estate table. So here on the head table, I have a table that's 12 linear feet, not seated at the ends. I say we're going to transfer some back arrangements to this table, so those will have been priced in the ceremony, so I don't include that price here. Then I'm going to have 3 large compotes, 11 bud vases, 11 lanterns, 11-foot pillared candles, and 24 votives, all crystal. So I'd like to start by dragging in the hard goods that I know that I'm going to need. So I'm going to grab the lanterns first. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to search for a lantern. And I have a small gold one here, so I'm going to put that here. And then I'm going to grab my footed candles. I haven't really updated this library yet. I'm going to work on that. And my votive candles. All right, so here, and let's see, I've got 24 of those, 11 of those, and 11 of those. For my transferred back arrangements, I need a riser, right? Because the risers that I have at the back of the aisle are probably not the same as I want to use here. And I don't have a riser in here. Let's see if I have a pedestal. No, I need to work on my library. So let's add it here. I'm going to add a rental because we're renting those out. And I'm going to say it's a riser gold deco. Actually, she wants crystal. So let's do a crystal trumpet vase. Oops, sorry, I can't type. My rental cost on these, it sort of varies. The crystal, I tend to go a little bit on the higher side because they break and I have to replace them all the time. So I'm going to say that that's 50 bucks each. That's my rental cost. I'm going to leave the retail open because, again, my setup is going to tell that how to do the math for me. So I'm going to, and I have 12 of these in my inventory. So I'm going to, while I'm here, I'll do the work. Right, so now I have this new riser, and I'm going to drop that in here as well. And I need 2 of those because I'm moving 2 back arrangements. Now I want to do my compotes. Now the magic of this is that I'm going to add a collection here, and it is going to be a crystal compote. And I say I want 3 of these on the table. So now instead of dragging my items here, these items are going on the entire table. Instead of, oops, I misspelled my crystal. Instead of doing that here, I'm going to add those there. So I come back over to my frequently used items, and I'm going to add a rose in there. I'm going to add my ranunculus in there. I'm going to add the amaranthus in there. I'm going to add an anthurium. And I'm a big line flower person, so I'm going to add some stock as well to give me a little bit of fullness. And I'm going to do that in cream because I want it to be nice and neutral. So, oh, and I need to add the actual compote. And I have a crystal 8-inch. So this is the recipe for the compote itself, right? So let's put some numbers in here so it looks a little more real. And then we'll come back up here, 3 large compotes, 11 bud vases. So I'm going to create another collection. And that's for my bud vases. And I'm going to have 11 of those, and I'm going to save them. And then the same process. So I'm coming back over here to the items that I've used. I'm not going to put stock in there. I'm going to give it an anthurium, a ranunculus, and did I have a Moab? A Moab. And then for that container, I love those little bonbon vases that you get from Jamali Garden. Let's see if I have those in my library. Nope. All right, I'll take a single bud vase. I'm going to add that later. Okay, and then so this is great. And that's really all I want in there. This is not a very foliage-based bride, so I'm not concerned about adding those in, but I may put a little into my compote, just because sometimes I need something to hide my mechanics with. So I'm going to make that, because I'm buying and selling my pittosporum by the bunch, I'm going to make that 0.25. So just a smidge of foliage so I have some if I need it. So now I go back up here and I take a look at my budget. So I've got a budget of $27.50 for this table, and I've only spent less than half of that. So I can do a couple of things. I can make these more fabulous, right? So I don't know how much of that I could put in there. To get up in my price. Or maybe I want to add more to the table. Maybe I add another compote and more bud vases till I feel like I've got what I want. Anyway, you can see how that works here. A lot of times when I'm quoting a proposal or making something for somebody, I kind of know what it costs me to make a compote, but I don't always know what the cost of the other pieces on the table are. So this happens a lot where I'll be like, this is what I want to put on my table for a 60-inch round for hard goods. I want to use, say I want 3 taper candles on there and 6 votives. I've got a shield, I've got a taper vase, let's find a candle in here. A taper candle, a single white. And I don't really want 2, I want 3. So this tells me that the candles on the table themselves are costing me $52.43. So that tells me that I've got $200 left for my compote. So because this is a single arrangement on a single table, I won't bother making a collection here. I would just pull in the pieces and parts that I need to complete that table. And then we've got that here. So let me think about the questions that we had going when we were going forward. I want to show you, since we looked across here, I want to show you this. A preview is just going to take me to the preview of the entire event, which is kind of nice to see. We've got images showing up there. If you're one of those people who likes to show your images on your proposal, we could take a look and see what that looks like. Here, look, I've only got the one image showing up. Is that what we want? Probably not. So I'm going to come back over here. Oh, maybe it's just because my computer is refreshing. There we are. So it's showing all of those elements here that will be used in the bride's bouquet. That's optional. You don't have to do that. But you can tell, see, like the anthurium green does not have an image on there. If I don't want to, I can turn them off here in the individual level. Maybe like down here in my piece, I don't want her to know I'm budgeting any greenery, so I might take that image off so that she doesn't see it. And I'm not going to show her a picture of the compote, those pieces and parts. You can also turn it off globally, and we'll show you how to do that in another video. So there you have it. That's really the 3 pieces. We've got our library where our pricing comes from. We've got our recipe box where we can have all of our pieces and parts sorted. And then we've got the actual recipes for the event. Let me show you before we go this one other report. So that we looked at the proposal detail. For the recipe report, I often run this recipe item piece before I order because I want to look at these different pieces. Like in here, I've got the amaranthus in 2 different colors. I've got the red and the silver. And maybe I decide I don't want to do that. So if I do, then this is a great place to recognize that maybe I've got 2 color roses and I really only want to have one. Anthurium comes where I order them, by the case of 40. So I've got 60 on here. And of course, I'm not really done with my recipes, but you can look here and say, well, I need more or I need to order less in order to have a case of what's going on. The same with the James Story orchids, like 23. Is that enough if some of the stems don't come in well? If you've got something that's a little bit fussy, do you need to add some extra? And then down at the bottom, you'll see this single bud vase is set up to be a disposable. It's something that is like a one-time use. If I was using my bonbon vase, that would be something that's a rental item, and it would show up down here. The taper candle, the candles are a single-time use, so that's why they're up here. And then the same with the clear glass votive candles. These are rental items. The gold lantern, the footed pillar candle, these are items that are part of my inventory in the warehouse. So this shows up on a pull report, which is a lovely, lovely report. And you can designate what you want to pull. So on a Tuesday, my staff can come over here and pull this report. And I'm going to pull it just for Brandon and Kelly. If I had other events that weekend, I might pull for all the events and have them pull and clean and organize all at the same time. But I'm going to hit create here. and it's going to take it a minute to process, but it's going to give me a list of all those. And I might have gone a little fast because I think I could tell what I wanted to, all the pieces and parts. But see, it's going to tell me that I need 4 crystal compotes, 11 footed pillar candles, 11 gold candles. So all of the detail of what you've asked for is here. So somebody can go to the warehouse on a Tuesday, pull all that, make sure it's clean, or order more if you happen to be short of something. And you can tell it what you want to put on here. I only pulled for rentals, and you can see up here it says that I excluded floral foliage, the external rentals, all of that was excluded. So, all right, that's it for today's Lunch and Learn. I think that's a good coverage of recipes. Join us next week. Courtney is going to talk about mood boards, and she is a mood board aficionado. She is really the master, so you'll enjoy working with her on that. Let us know if you have any questions. You can email us or call us, text us, whatever works for you, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you.